Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
Let's put on the show.
So we got our buddy Alistair in here. Mario is on the way. Do we want to go ahead and start the topic? Chit-chatting?
I guess so.
All right, well, I think a ton of things happened leading up to today itself that we should also talk about. So we got a lot to cover here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think first and foremost, let's talk about last night. Disney CEO Bob Chapek, and Executive Chairman Bob Iger rededicated Walt Disney World Resort in an after-hours event. It was only cast members and media present, I believe.
It's now dedicated to profits.
Yes, exactly. I actually saw a funny comment on this article talking about it that was basically saying, oh, so they didn't want to do it in front of the common folk. Were they scared they were going to get booed?
I mean, honestly, I feel like that's a very real possibility with the way things have been going lately.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. But they were also joined by Disney legend Christina Aguilera, who performed Reflections from Mulan on the castle stage. So that's
Did
kind
not
of
realize
cool,
she was
I
a
guess.
Disney legend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, she kind of started her career in the Mickey Mouse Club. Mm-hmm. She's one of those folks. And then Reflections was a big hit. That was kind of the early stages of Disney putting out like a pop version of the song from the movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. I definitely remember that as a kid.
But other than that, I mean, what has she done that qualifies her as a Disney legend?
That's the thing that gets me, like, not to take anything away from what she's done in her career, but it's just like,
right.
She hasn't done that much illustrious stuff at Disney, which is what I was kind of surprised about. But
yeah, it doesn't really feel like she deserves to be in the same, category as people like Marty Sklar and Bob Gurr.
So I stand by it. Like, Disney legend, whatever, they can give that to whoever they want. The true highest honor is a Main Street window. That will always be preserved for the greatest.
Yeah, Christina Aguilera ain't getting one of those.
That's for sure.
It looks like we have our live correspondent from Walt Disney World Resort. I don't know how to make her. There she goes.
Everybody.
Hello.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes. Can you hear us?
It took me off speaker. Yes, it took me off speaker, and I didn't have my phone to my ear. Yeah. Okay, so y'all, everybody for the fireworks, I went out at 4:30, and I saw they had the disability section opened up finally. It was already full for the fireworks that start at 9.
Jeez.
Oh my god!
And everybody, like the whole hub, is already full of people sitting down. Everybody's got blankets and towels. Like, it's crazy.
They're just gonna sit there for 3 hours.
I am gonna sit here for 3 hours because I did everything I wanted to do today. We rode Haunted Mansion. This is all I cared about riding. Eli was terrified.
Oh.
I knew he would be, but I had to ride it. And my parents brought him back to me for some reason. He's not supposed to be here. Yeah, the hub is full of people. Like, people have been staking this out for hours.
That's crazy. Did you get a good spot?
I'm probably 20 feet behind partners, like directly or like in front of partners, you know. So I see
Okay.
You
partners
got
right
a
in
good
front of me.
spot.
Yeah, everybody's sitting now. So hopefully when it starts, I remember when I was a college programmer. Do y'all remember the Celebrate or the Magic, the Memories in You, the very first like castle show they ever did?
I mean, I remember it happening. I don't know if I saw it, but
I was a college programmer. That happened. That they started that right after they started my program, and I remember the first night that they played it. It was a pretty quiet night, but everybody sat down to watch it and just like stayed sitting through the whole thing, and it was like amazing. And now I feel like it's common when everything starts, everybody stands up. So it'd be
Right.
awesome if everybody stayed sitting tonight, but we'll see. Anyway,
yeah, that would be great. I would love to watch any fireworks show sitting.
exactly. Let's see, what else can I tell y'all about today? There was a fight in the Emporium over Starbucks mugs that will be for
Very
sale for
on
18
brand.
months. The line and the cast members were literally telling people like, this will be available for 18 months. If you don't have to have it today, you should wait. But the line was still, it was going in the middle door of the Emporium. And so the line went all the way down back to like the entrance, the hub, the front hub curved around and was all the way back down to Casey's. And the vault line, because the vault is in the cinema. Section right by the shop was.
Jeez.
So
And Magic Kingdom did it today, so I've been getting this with you.
yeah, we walked on. My parents took Eli on Barnstormer this morning, like easily. We walked on to Dumbo. We walked on to Teacups. We haven't tried to do any like Space Mountain or Mine Train. We walked on to Pirates. Will said he saw that Mine Train was posted at 55. And then Haunted Mansion did have a bit of a line. I think it was at 35, but we went through the accessible entrance with Eli. So we didn't really have a long wait, but yeah, there haven't been lines other than that. We didn't ride the carousel, but I saw that it was basically walk on when we walked past.
Okay.
So yeah, everybody's waiting on merch. Those popcorn bucket lines this morning, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, my mom was telling
Nuts.
me about that. She doesn't really, I guess, get that the popcorn buckets are collectible because she was sending me pictures like, why are people trying to get these? It's a collection
I know.
thing.
My mom was like, why do all these girls have these like purses that look like balloons? And I was like, they're not purses. And she's like, oh, they're kind of cute. And I'm like, yeah, they're gone. Sorry. You're not going to get one. I didn't see any green ones though. I saw people with red ones, blue ones, gold ones, but I didn't see anybody with a green one, which I know was in the preview. So
maybe they'll release other colors throughout the year.
Yeah, the day of merch, that line was super organized though, because you join the virtual queue, which was impossible to actually get into, but Al did it for me, thank goodness. They were having it at Big Top. They had everything around like there. So when you got a text like, "Hey, it's time for you to come shop," you went over and they looked at your text message, which I'm like, you could just figure out what the text message said and then like type one to yourself, but whatever. Anyway, and so then you went through and they had limits of 2 on everything per person. But you just walked through and they were like, they had bags where you could shop with, and they were like, once you leave, you cannot come back. By the time we got there, they were out of ornaments and they were out of the magic bands, which is sad because Will bought a special 50th anniversary magic band when we got here on Sunday, and then he lost it on Tuesday. So.
Oh no! Dang.
But yeah, that was super organized. You just picked up all the stuff you wanted, then you went to the next room, and if you were a pass holder, there was a different line, so you could get the pass holder only merch. And then you paid in like the Big Top souvenirs, and then you left. That was it.
All right.
So they should have done that with everything.
Yeah. Sounds like it. At least they did it with one thing they got right.
Yeah. What else? Anybody else have questions?
Has it been like impossible to walk anywhere in a timely manner?
It's definitely more crowded. It was easier with us before we had the stroller, but I would say Main Street is the worst, and everything else was not that bad. Like
Okay.
Main Street and the area by Big Top where everybody was congregating was not that bad. And then this morning when they had famous people, like, and it's funny because they weren't even really famous. They had the hub grass blocked on both sides. One side was for like media, like GMA news announcers, that kind of thing to report from, and the other was like blocked off for execs and people to take pictures and whatever they were doing.
Did you happen to see any of that media stuff?
I haven't watched any of it on TV, so I don't really know like what was happening, but I'm pretty sure I was in the background of some stuff because they would be like cheer, and Will and I were walking by and I was like, I'm not cheering. But whatever. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like we saw Bob Chapek 2 different times. And everybody was like, Bob, can I take a picture? And I was like, I'm not asking him to take a picture. But I heard, this is a rumor, definitely not, but that the reason they did everything last night and did like the dedication and stuff is because they didn't want him to speak today because they didn't want the chance of anybody booing. Which makes...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like
Right
the people that
before
they have...
you came on, Kirsten, we were actually just talking about that.
And I feel like they know that they have a control over the people that are on their media list. So they know that, like, they can't revoke their rights or anything. They're fine.
Yeah. They want to stay on the media list.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so it's funny though, because in that section, like after they left, it was like Josh D'Amaro, Jeff Bailey, those kind of people, and then a bunch of the ambassadors, like former Disney ambassadors, like Stephen Miller is a big one that I followed for a long time, and like the current ambassadors, and so people were like,
Hello?
Hey, I'm still here.
Okay, I was like, I didn't know if it was my internet going out or Kirsten.
Sorry, can y'all hear me again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did I cut off? My mom was calling me.
You're talking about the ambassadors.
Oh yeah, so they were all in that section, and so people were crowding. Like I was crowding because I kind of knew who they were, and I know who the current ambassador is and stuff. But people were like taking pictures of them and like taking selfies with them. But then they were like, "Who are these people?" So it's kind of that thing of like you just see a crowd, and so you like follow it, even though they had no idea who they actually were. Like most people didn't. Some people did, but like Debbie Day Brown, I think is her name, who was the opening day ambassador, was here. So that was cool. She was apparently by the castle, like meeting people earlier, but I didn't. I was gonna get a magic band for you. So yeah, I missed her, but she was taking pictures by the castle with people and telling them stories about opening day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, the Christmas one.
Yeah, and I know Dick Nunes is here somewhere, and Al Weiss, if anybody knows who they are, but I could not find them or see them. Al Weiss is staying at the Grand Floridian.
Just go door to door.
Yeah, just knock on all their doors.
Yeah, he's probably up in the club level where I'd have to sneak in.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Well, it sounds like you've had quite an eventful day.
Yeah, it's honestly, I've seen that people are saying like, oh, all the influencers are disappointed because there's not that much happening. And there really like is not a ton happening, which is kind of sad. Like this morning, people started circling the hub and everybody was like piling in, waiting because Minnie was on a float out here. And so everybody was like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? But at 8, they just did like the, I guess, new morning show or whatever, and then that was it. Like nothing else. And so we went up to the castle, and the guy was like, "There's not going to be anything happening on this stage today. Like, don't stand here and wait. Nothing is happening." So that's kind of
Wow.
lame.
Yeah, that is kind of rough.
Wait, I have
Like-
one request. Or you can go ahead first. If you had something else to say.
No.
I want you to not tell him that you're doing this, but put the phone near Eli and ask him what his favorite thing today was.
Okay.
Because I know if he knows we're listening,
He's not going to say
he's
anything.
going to shut down.
Exactly.
But I want to hear his cute, sweet little voice. I was hearing it in the background.
I know. He has got to be so excited.
He got moved off of being a speaker. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I don't know either.
I can invite her to speak and see.
We got her hand
She's
raised.
got her hand up. Okay, there she is.
I mean, I invited her to speak, and as soon as I did that, it put her hand up. So I don't know if that was a intentional step down or what.
Gotcha. We're just waiting patiently for the moment.
Payoff would be worth it.
So I guess I'm going to throw this out there while we're waiting. All of the news topics we're talking about, there are a lot of them. So I'm probably not going to link them like I normally would in like on our website when we upload this audio. But I'm going to try to put them in the Discord episode discussion channel as we discuss them. If anybody listening currently wants to follow along, or if anybody listening after the fact wants to find the specific article we were talking about, that's where you'll find it. Just throwing that out there. And if you're not already on our Discord, what are you doing anyway?
I know. We're having so much fun in here. You come join the Discord.
This is where you're going to hear us on our live shows and other than our live streams, which obviously go to YouTube as well. But when it's audio only, here we are on Discord. You don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mario, I need to know where you made your little icon.
I actually don't remember where I made it. I'll figure it out and I'll let you know.
Okay. I saw it earlier and I was like, oh, that's really cute. I want one.
Kirsten said she's reconnecting.
Okay.
Trying to connect, disconnected. It's that Disney Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Will said y'all can hear me. Okay, sorry. I don't know. When I took the phone off my ear and put it up to Eli, something happened. Here, let me try again. What's today again?
The 50th birthday of Magic Kingdom.
Hey, you want to say happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Magic Kingdom.
Oh my god.
What was your favorite thing today?
The ghost ride.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was your favorite thing this whole trip?
I don't
Eating in space. Say that.
Say that.
My favorite thing was eating in space.
Okay.
Oh, that was perfect. We're gonna have to cut that sound clip. Happy
we
birthday, Magic Kingdom, he said.
Oh,
That was too cute.
precious.
Precious.
Add it to the intro.
Yeah, add it to the
Will
intro.
said add it to the
Yes.
intro.
Fantastic.
I love it. He's so cute.
He's just saying it to himself. 50th birthday of Magic Kingdom. He actually made a friend yesterday at Epcot, one of the cast members that tells you about all the different fish or whatever. And so he followed her around. Then when we left, he hugged her and he's like, I hope I see you tomorrow.
Oh my god, that's so cute. Wow. He's living his best life.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Okay, well, is there? Does anybody have any requests for tonight besides like some? Should I? I don't think I should live stream Enchantment. My Wi-Fi is not good enough. We can all watch that online. Way better than anything I can do.
She's
Right.
probably running into all of those people that are also trying to live stream.
Yeah.
Plus, just enjoy being there. Don't worry about
Yeah.
trying to get a good recording of the whole thing or anything.
You said
I
you've already
actually-
seen it, right?
Well, we watched it from the Poly Beach, and so
Okay.
yeah, I couldn't. Obviously, we didn't see like the castle or anything, but I really liked the music personally.
I'm surprised that, like, just based off of you seeing it at the Poly Beach, you said that you loved it. Like, that's pretty high standards there.
Well,
Mhm.
I feel like I was so bitter towards Happily Ever After just because it replaced Wishes that like anything that wasn't Happily Ever After I would have felt fondness for, you know?
You needed a buffer.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was just much more of a Wishes-centric theme. Like, I mean, I've talked about this before, how I feel like Happily Ever After is like, here's a bunch of Disney songs. Yay. But like Wishes was like, look
Really?
inside yourself. You're like, but it had like a story of like, look inside yourself. You can do anything. You can be any, like just this like inspirational feeling that I didn't get with Happily Ever After. And I feel like Enchantment has more of that like internal like inspiration message
Did you
based on like just the music.
Did you get to see Harmonious yet, or is that
I
on
watched
the
the
plan?
video of it, but I won't have a chance to see it because I was busy the night before last, and then last night was when I went to meet Bob Gurr, so I couldn't go see it. Oh yeah, the night before last we went to Trader Sam's. But
Nice. Did you get anything at Trader
so
Sam's?
I got a Schweitzer Falls, and I had them put vodka in it because it's a non-alcoholic drink.
Nice.
Seems like a roundabout way to do that, but
I mean,
you.
it gets you there.
I was peer pressured into drinking.
Oh.
Anyway, I have notes on Bob Gurr, like everything he said, so I
feel like we're gonna have to talk about that when you get back.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
so adorable, like the cutest little old man. I want him to be my grandpa. He's actually, I didn't realize he was the last living, like, original Imagineer.
Wow.
That's kind of sad. I mean,
It's very sad.
It's
yeah.
very sad. And I wish I had thought, because we were, you know, he was taking questions most of the time, and I really wish I had thought to ask, like, what's your favorite memory of Marty Sklar, but I didn't think of that till later, so.
Aw. Well,
Anyway. Yeah, it hasn't been that bad today. I think that anybody who didn't come just because of the crowds, you missed out.
well, darn.
Yeah, that was definitely me.
I
Yeah.
mean, I also, you know, didn't have the time to take off work, so that was a thing. But yeah, the crowds did deter me a little bit, but I'm glad that you've gotten to enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, it's been good.
Our
And I
live
think we made the right
correspondent.
choice. Yeah. The crowds, I'm really surprised, but I think this next week they're going to be worse than this past week, which there's a lot of things I missed, right? Like no Remy, no Harmonious, no Steakhouse 71, etc. But, you know, I'm here today, so that's all that
Yep.
matters.
And those will be around for a while. You'll have another
Exactly.
chance.
Exactly. Hopefully. Maybe Harmonious will get replaced. I don't know. I did see a tiny bit of Kite Tails, and I'll say I thought that the Simba float looked pretty cool.
I was about to say, from what I saw, it looked pretty cool, but then they had so many, you know, issues of jet skis flipping and the kite going into the stands.
Well, that's
a lot of this
apparently
stuff
how
they
they're
should have
landing
seen.
them, is like crashing them to like bring them down at the end, which seems weird, but that's what somebody said. I don't think they're supposed to crash into the stands. I think it's the water, but you know, potato.
I would imagine there are going to be people there at some point. They don't want to
That would
crash
be
it into the
amazing.
stands.
What would y'all do if y'all? How much money do you think they would give us on a gift card if we were at Kite Tails and we got smashed by Baloo?
I will take nothing less than a lifetime annual pass.
That'd be pretty nice.
That's thousands of dollars.
That's true. That's true. My friend's mom was talking about the Skyliner, and she's like, "I hope I get stuck on the Skyliner. I don't have anything to do, and they give me a gift card."
Oh my gosh.
So, but, Kirsten, I have a question for you because I'm looking at, was scrolling through some of the new stuff. Were you guys there at like rope drop this morning for Magic Kingdom?
Pretty much. They were already letting people through when we got here. I think we got here at like 6:36 or something, and they were already letting people in. But yeah, we were here at 8 for sure.
I'm gonna send this video to our group chat on Facebook because I just saw this video of like a mad rush for the front of the castle from like 9 hours ago.
Oh my god! No, we were too late for that. We did not see that.
It
But
looks
I'm glad.
insane.
I mean,
That's scary. This looks like Hunger Games or something.
Yeah.
It really does. Like it's all nice and calm, and then all of a sudden, like the worst part of that is I was watching it, and the cast member that was like leading them through just suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, he
it
got
was like
trampled.
He noped over
Like-
there.
like the wildebeest stampede in Lion King.
Is he like holding on to the edge of the stage?
Yeah, I thought I saw a guy hanging off of Partners. That must have been him.
And then Bob Chapek came by and stepped on his hand.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. It's exciting, but I wish there was more. That's all. That's what I'll say.
Mm. Well, at least you'll be able to say you were there.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of things now for like giveaways and stuff. Special day of only merchandise that you can purchase on eBay now for the low price of like $150. So
Ooh, there you go. Hot commodities for our next giveaway.
yeah. Okay.
Well, you unless you have anything else to report, we'll let you go enjoy your family time and prepare
Yeah,
the
I think
next 2.5
this is it.
hours for the fireworks.
I brought a book.
There you go. That's a good plan.
Okay, y'all have fun.
All right, you too. Thanks for
Bye.
dropping in.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Hang on.
All right. Well, that was cool hearing live from Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth the wait to hear Eli's cute little voice.
Definitely. Always.
So I guess we'll keep cruising along through all of the kind of general news that's come out over the last day or two. So Disney announced Magic Band Plus. They got a thing with pluses now. They love this plus sign. They got Disney Plus, Genie Plus, Magic Band Plus. Which the updated version of Magic Bands are going to have all the current features that our, existing Magic Bands have, plus new interactive experiences, including special lighting and vibrations in real time to synchronize with nighttime spectaculars.
Okay, I kind of love this news.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Like, okay, so we had this conversation the other day about this, right? And John was like, it's neat, but I'm also taking the cynical approach that like Disney could have done more, which yeah, they could have, but like I'm such a sucker for these glow at the show things. Like I have my ears for Phantasmic and like
Right,
I love
but
when they do stuff like this.
I feel like this is definitely an improvement on that though, because one, glow with the show ears were in people's faces while they were trying to watch the show. And
Oh, that's
two,
fair.
you couldn't even watch your own head. Like you can't look up see
true.
your own head, so you didn't even get to reap the benefits of the synchronization. This one is like, oh, it's on my wrist. I could see, I could just hold my arm out in front of me a little bit.
You can feel it.
And you can feel it, yeah, the vibrations.
Well, and I also think that like the glow with the show technology is how old now? Like this makes sense. It's kind of an obvious step forward, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, like that, and I can see the point of like at this point, the technology, they could have done a lot more with it, but like they didn't have to because magic bands were also functionally fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Here's
And they
my
sh-
thing that I want next for magic bands is that, you know, they got the replaceable pucks and you can move it from band to band, but the long distance RFID still dies after about 2 years. When
That's
are we
exactly
gonna
what
get
I was
one that
gonna
we can
ask.
keep reusing indefinitely?
Well, so that too, but what these Magic Band Pluses, are they going to be rechargeable? Because I imagine having lights and a haptic motor in it, that's going
It's
to
gotta be
drain the battery
Right.
way quicker than just an RFID chip.
So maybe this is the next step, you know, maybe it'll cost a little more than a typical magic band, but it'll have, you know, more functionality and you'll be able to recharge it.
Mm-hmm.
So, out of curiosity, because I was thinking about this earlier too. Magic bands, you now have to pay for them, right?
Correct.
But on top of that, I feel like they would probably sell more of these if magic bands were free. What do you guys think about that?
If the band itself
Like,
was
well, no. So if the original magic band, like I mean, I guess the band too, but like, if this was an extra step up from what you already got, instead of it being an extra step up from something you already have to pay for.
No, I mean, the way I think about it is if I have to pay for this out of pocket, if I have to pay $10 for a regular Magic Band or say $35 for the Magic Band Plus, I feel like a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm already paying for all this other stuff. Might as well just pay a little bit more and get the Magic Band Plus. Whereas if you get it for free, I think most people are going to be like, well, I'm getting it for free. I'll just take that one.
Right. That was what I was kind of thinking and what I was trying to like to pick your brains about was like, do you think that this is the right business move for them to come out after they've announced that the magic bands aren't going to be free anymore? And I totally think that it is. I think this is going to push more people in that direction. Exactly like you said, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just like the next step in the magic band family. You know, you don't really see people using the original model of magic bands anymore. This is probably just going to phase out the older ones in favor of Magic Band Plus. And it'll become the new standard, you know?
Yeah. As long as those slap magic bands don't, you know, come back into favor.
And as Will did mention in the chat, there is going to be a discount, at least, for pre-arrival guests and new and renewing annual pass holders. So while they won't be free, like annual pass holders used to get a free band every year, resort guests would get one with every stay. You'll still get a discounted rate, just not complimentary. And speaking of all the glowing, though, we have glowing monorails that debuted just in time for the 50th. So
the monorails look so good.
Yeah, the underside of each monorail got this nice glow that matches whatever line it is. You know, like the monorail lime has lime lighting underneath, and they look super awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
They look incredible.
You know, and it's funny just like how something so simple as, you know, some LED light strips can really just bring something alive.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is an easy thing that they did that added a lot of atmosphere, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There were pictures. I don't know if it's in this article. I'm trying to look at it now. But there were pictures of, it may have been the teal monorail in front of, oh no, it's the blue one in front of Spaceship Earth. And that picture, just like, the monorails really look like they got majorly refurbed, even though they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely made them look more updated. So next we have, according to a Disney cast member during a media preview event Disney held earlier this week, guests will not be able to re-ride attractions with Genie Plus, meaning if you want to ride something more than once, you can use Lightning Lane one time after you pay $15 or $20, whatever the fee is. And then you got to utilize the standby for any additional times. And it's not, you know, it's possible that things could change if we get a lot of backlash about this, but that's how it stands right now. And I don't like that part.
Well, I'm just very confused as to why Disney would do that. If you've got people wanting to pay to ride it multiple times, it's strange to me that Disney is going to say no, don't pay us to ride this again.
Right. It's like if I want to sit on Buzz Lightyear all stinking day, why can't I?
I'm kind of on the other end of this. I think this is good PR for the people that aren't paying for Lightning Lane. It makes it less of a yeah, Will literally just said what I was thinking. It makes it more fair for regular resort guests. And I think that that's totally like what it is, because at this point, you know, you're paying for Genie, right? Like you pay for the Genie, you get the access to all of the rides as many times as you want. You get to skip the line. That kind of just creates this, oh, I have to already pay for Genie to do this thing that I probably, you know, shouldn't be hogging up the line. And then if everybody pays for Genie, then Genie just makes a second standby line. And then it becomes quicker to just wait in the standby line.
Yeah, but I guess my thing with it is that like you can still only have one reservation at a time. So let's say, you know, I'm at Magic Kingdom right now and I have a 6:30 fast pass for Haunted Mansion. I still have to go to Haunted Mansion and go through the line and scan my band to be able to make my next one. Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
So technically, yes.
So then if I wanted to get another one for Haunted Mansion to accommodate for whatever like capacity they want, they could just be like, all right, well, you can have another one for Haunted Mansion, but it's not going to be for, you know, an hour and a half. You can't just like get right back in line.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was with paper fast passes. You know, it was like if it was crowded that day, that just meant that you weren't going to get on until much later in the day, and you were basically going hours and hours and hours without having any kind of fast pass.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I think if they did a system like that, it would also have to kind of have to account for how many times you've been on the ride, right? Like Beth was saying, you know, if I'm on Haunted Mansion and I want to get off of Haunted Mansion and then get another Lightning Lane ride, okay, I've already been on it. I'm going to bump back to the next hour. I think that's a lot of infrastructure for Disney to design into an app that already know that they can't design apps for to save their life anyway.
You have swayed me, Mario.
That's a fair point.
Like I think in theory it works great and it's fine and all, because like it does kind of work on the same system that like the paper fast passes did, but it's also converting it to the new system and everything. And I feel like it's going to be so bare bones when it opens anyway, that them saying you get one ride on Haunted Mansion and you can't ride it 30 million times a day and create a backup fast pass line, like it just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense too. I guess my only thing is I don't want to get stuck with like dumb fast passes being the only things available. You know, like if I've ridden everything that I want to ride and the only thing left is like Winnie the Pooh. You know, I don't want that. That's not the only problem.
It also kind of creates that situation too, right? Like, so let's say, you know, I want to ride Flight of Passage, and I only have one fast pass window to book Flight of Passage. They're probably going to stack that into whoever gets it first. It'll probably be like similar to the boarding group system, I would imagine. But if somebody says, you know, they get off of the ride and then they have to get to the end of that queue is going to start building up faster and not allowing people to buy their first run fast passes because they had to wait in the day, or they're going to have to get up, you know, early, and that's going to create another issue. I think it also, like, those big e-ticket rides are the ones that are going to cause issues if that system was in place.
Yeah, and that is a really good point. You know, people would definitely take advantage of that if they could ride Flight of Passage or whatever e-ticket ride they want to ride over and over and over again.
It would become the way to do Disney, and I think I'm going to give them the good grace of saying that, like, I don't think that Disney wants that to be the way. I think they want it to be a supplementary thing, which, I mean, if it works, it works. If it becomes the norm and everybody has to pay an extra $20 every day of their trip, like, we're all just going to do it anyway, but I won't be happy about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we also have for the 50th anniversary 150 new food and drink items that are debuting over the course of the celebration. And we have a full list now of what these treats are. So
I'm
obviously,
so happy that we have this list.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to go through every single thing, but you guys scan through it and tell me what stands out to you. What are you excited?
There's a lot that stands out on this list for me. I've already looked at it, but I got to go through it again.
I do think it's kind of cute how many items they have that have quote unquote Walt's chili, like because that was supposedly Walt's favorite food. It's like a corn dog or a hot dog with Walt's chili, or mac and cheese with Walt's chili. It's like, I don't know, kind of like a cheesy fan servicey type of thing, but I like it.
My favorite thing that they have on here, these like outrageous, just weird food items, like the Mission to Mars, the burger topped with bacon and macaroni and cheese served on a bun dusted with cheese flavored puffs. Like that just looks insane.
Sounds awesome. The thing that looks the most insane to me is the Wild Ride burger or whatever it's called, with the pickles sticking out like the tongue.
Yeah, the whatever that one is. I just looked at that. There's a picture, but I don't know where it goes.
I know.
And
I
then,
wish that these pictures were like told you what they were on the picture, because I can kind of figure it out after reading it. But some of them, I'm like, I don't really know what this is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what this like Bloody Mary looking thing with the octopus tentacle is.
That was the one that caught my eye when I saw the original tweet, because that's basically what I think it was Disney Parks blog put this out. But there was just a tweet and they were like, food items coming to the 50th anniversary, and it was just like all of these insane looking things, no context at all.
So I think the thing with the tentacle sticking out of it is, Be Our Guest, the Squid's Revenge drink.
That makes sense. Yep. Charred octopus. Yep.
Yeah.
What is
okay, so
what is
here's-
a michelada?
Here's a better.
Isn't it like a Bloody Mary with beer in it or something?
Oh God. Ooh.
It is a drink made with beer, lime juice, assorted sauces, spices, tomato juice, and chili peppers. Yeah, almost exactly what I said.
Well,
There's
I'll be
the
skipping
article.
that one.
Yeah, Bloody Marys are gross. I'm sorry out there to anybody who is a fan.
So it looks like the Disney Parks blog actually updated their post, and this one's a little bit more organized than that one, because the pictures are under the actual ones. Like there's the first one that we have is the Uncle Orville's sundae, which is just a bathtub with ice cream in it. And
Cute,
it's got the little,
That's awesome.
super cute. I think that is the Squid's Revenge drink. And the burger, Beth, I have to tell you, is the Mr. Toad the Toad Burger.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's just one, it's ridiculous because I see what they're doing here, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, like it's funny, but it's just like the craziest looking one to me. Just because of the, and I'm sure it's just a burger. Like there's nothing really special about it except the presentation, but the presentation is funny to me.
Yeah. But if you scroll down, do you guys see the one right above where it's got the Skipper Canteen menu? What is that, like, ice cream sundae with a Mickey pretzel? Is that the Cheers to 50 Years thing? Because that looks like a lot.
Yeah. That is.
It looks like it. It says it serves 4 to 6.
What? That looks like the kitchen sink, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, the presentation on some of these is like A+, and others I'm just like, this just looks like a normal thing you could get anywhere.
I like the they kind of phoned it in with this one. The Drinkwalla at Animal Kingdom is just a Mickey ice cream bar that's like dipped in, it says blue raspberry flavored coating with celebration sprinkles.
Which I feel like that's a weird combination in and of itself. Chocolate and blue raspberry.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound too good to me.
There's a lot of interesting combinations on here. Like the Noli said in the chat, the sprinkled with iridescence on the Monte Cristo sandwich. Like, that's not anything I would think I would want to eat.
I mean, it's probably just like glittery flour or something, right? Like they somehow made flour glittery, or like spices, some sort of spice glittery.
Salt. It's probably just salt.
Yeah, it's salt.
It's like Mickey shaped
salt's
salt.
shiny. I gotta say, I think the dessert, like the pastries, look the best though. Overall, I love all of the little medallions that they put on everything. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And I do think that this magical beacon cocktail was phoned in also. Gin, blue curacao, Minute Maid premium lemonade, almond syrup, lemon, hibiscus grenadine, and a souvenir glow cube.
I mean, it does sound good though.
It does sound good, but it's like it's a drink with a glow cube in it, which I mean,
Yeah, I have a glow cube from like 15 years ago. They've been
I
doing
have
that for
about
quite some
12
time.
glow cubes. Just because I always am like, can I get it without the glow cube and like pay $1 less? And they're like, no, the price includes it. And I'm like, sometimes they'll let you though. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I can take it off. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. But then sometimes you have to. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm keeping this. Any other foods y'all want to talk about before we move to the next topic?
The just one other one. This just sounded really good. Where was it? It was at Aloha Isle. It was where is it now? Oh, I was on the other page. That's why I can't find it. It was like hang on, I'll just find it so I don't butcher this. Let's see.
While you're finding that, I'd want to point out that I have mad respect for the fact that all of the 50th anniversary stuff at Be Our Guest is themed to the 20,000 Leagues ride.
That's respectable, yeah.
I was like, I think that was a nice nod. I think some people it'll go over their heads and they'll be like, why is this here? This is like not on theme. But, you know, to the people who get it, I think it's a nice little, you know, tribute.
Oh, here we go. So Aloha Isle has the Tropical Serenade, which is a passion orange guava juice, coconut soft serve, pineapple upside down cake pop, which is just a lot of tropicalness going on with that.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
It actually does sound really good.
They've done a lot of Dole Whip related things as expected, you know? But the one that I thought was kind of not necessarily a bad choice, but maybe just an interesting choice was that they have at Tamu Tamu Refreshments at Animal Kingdom, Scar's Lair and Lion's Lair, two separate Dole Whips. One features they both feature sour apple flavored syrup. So it's, I guess, pineapple with sour apple flavored syrup, and then the Lion's Lair comes with also Parrot Bay coconut rum.
That sounds really good.
I don't know how I feel about the sour apple.
Oh, I love sour apple.
It makes me pucker. It's like my mouth feels weird thinking about it. But I would try it. Probably with the rum, though, because then it would have like an extra sweetness to offset the sour.
Yeah.
So, but me and coconut rum had a falling out a while back. I don't know if we're friends again yet.
Uh-oh. Hey, I think it's about time you patch things up.
Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the way. Anna says sour is just angry taste, the same way sparkling water is just angry water. That's a good description. I like it.
Very accurate.
All right. So we have all these new things coming to the parks, but then we also have a kind of big thing ending. Nikon's 8-year partnership with Disney Parks is over. It seemed kind of sudden. But I guess maybe it's, you know, a case of we're using COVID as an excuse to ...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what impact this is gonna have on the parks now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll still continue to use Nikon cameras. They don't have to have a partnership to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the signage is coming down, like the Nikon, it's like Nikon photo pass spot or whatever. And then the dark room, at Hollywood Studios, the shop, they have taken down the Nikon branding. So now it's just photo spot suggested by Disney Photo Pass. It was probably just a way to like kick them out the door to stop having to pay for the branding on things, you know?
Guess so. I mean,
But
at least this isn't like, an Epcot Pavilion sponsorship that's gonna, take down an attraction.
right. So, you know, I guess which is kind of interesting because it was Kodak before Nikon?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll just move on to another camera company.
Maybe.
And speaking of PhotoPass, all of the PhotoPass pictures taken today at Disney World are free to download, which I thought was a very nice perk to those people braving the crowds.
That is cool. This is definitely one of those things too where I see Disney benefiting, because how many people are going to post these pictures, and that's more or less free advertising for them. I mean, it is awesome that Disney's doing that, don't get me wrong, but also like I think everybody wins in that case.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't really cost them anything to
No.
offer free photos for a day. You know, they're not going to lose a massive amount of money. And it's just downloads. If you want to have it printed out at the parks, you still got to pay for it.
Do people still do that?
I'm sure people do.
I mean,
I don't know why you would when you can just send it to Walgreens when you get home, but
I was about to say, like, it's so rare for me to think about people that even actually go out and print pictures out still, and let alone to do it in the park at what is a very inflated price.
plus you got to like carry it around and hope that you don't crinkle it up or fold it or gets bent or whatever.
We're rained on, yeah.
Oh, Anna says her family does. Okay, explain to us why.
Yeah, because I don't know. That just, I mean, like you said, obviously people do it, or they would not have those places open.
All right, she
Is
says
it
it's easier. It's the simplicity of it. I guess
Okay.
not having to. But you're in like Ireland or something. Then you gotta like carry it back home in your suitcase on the plane, right?
Yeah, check that with customs. Like, it seems like a pain.
And honestly, it's kind of shocking to me that people still print out photos a lot. Like, I think the only times I ever really print out photos are when I want to change the ones that I have framed around the house, or if it's like a Christmas card
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I think the last time I had pictures printed out was for my wedding, and
And they're
yeah,
sitting in a drawer.
yep.
We didn't even do that, so don't feel bad.
I mean, some of them are displayed, but yeah,
Right. But most of them are just like in a, envelope somewhere.
yeah. So, hey, to each their own. Obviously, that's
Right.
not that uncommon of a thing. I guess that's my millennial mindset.
Yeah, me too, I guess. It's all about the social media.
Hmm.
You got to be able to share it with people immediately on the internet. You can't wait till you
Instant
get home.
gratification.
Yep.
So, all right. So the last little thing I think that's gonna wrap up our general Disney World news area is that the Sasagula River Cruise has reopened.
So exciting.
Taking guests between Old Key West Resort and Saratoga Springs Resort, dropping off at Disney Springs Marketplace Boat Dock, operating from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. And of course, Port Orleans will also have boat service when it reopens later this month.
Exciting.
It is.
I feel like that's the part of the resort that like they can't not have.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you gonna say, Brian?
Oh, I mean, yeah, taking it from Port Orleans is almost like going on an attraction, like a very relaxing one. But it really is like you go through all of the kind of windy little rivery parts to get to Disney Springs, and it really is. It sets the mood for Port Orleans so well. So I'm definitely glad this is back.
And that boat music. Until you get to Disney Springs and they always are playing Party in the USA. I feel like every single time I've gotten to Disney Springs, it's Party in the USA.
Oh my gosh. All right, so before we move to Magic Kingdom, which is pretty much the entirety of the rest of our news articles, I just want to mention briefly that the Matsuriza drummers have returned to Epcot's Japan Pavilion just in time for the 50th. And I find it very exciting how much live entertainment is returning to the parks. I feel like this bodes very well.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe we briefly talked about this with Bob. I feel like they started to bring these things back because their contracts had them coming back when they started to reopen.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to believe that like Disney realized they were missing a lot without the live entertainment.
Oh my gosh,
Like
so much. Especially these
like
guys,
they heard us.
These drummers that you could hear all around World Showcase, I feel like added so much atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. And maybe not the people at the top, but that there are people looking into social media that work at Disney, and there was a lot of backlash when this stuff was taken away. So, I do think that influenced the decision to some extent.
It had to. There's no way it didn't.
Yeah.
Probably specifically this podcast. We did it, guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, Beth brought Bob back. We did it. We're healing live entertainment.
We did it. We won
accomplished.
Single-handedly. Oh, Vanessa said, would love to see Hoop-Dee-Doo come back. Me too. I feel like that's next on the list of
that's got to be like the next
I'm
phase.
gonna start.
I feel like that's got to be like the next phase of things to come back in terms of live entertainment, right? Like a lot of the resort stuff is starting to trickle in.
Yeah. Plus, a lot of the entertainment that they have brought back, they'll be able to have some sort of distancing from the crowds. And I feel like one of the appeals of Hoop-Dee-Doo is when they come down into the audience. So
yeah,
we really want to wait until we can have the full experience.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So speaking of entertainment, the pianist is back at Casey's Corner.
Another big plus.
Yes, and specifically today, to mark the occasion of the 50th anniversary, Randy Morris took to the piano. He was the Casey's Corner pianist in the very first year of operations. So as he was 19 years old, and he played in that very spot 50 years ago to the day.
That's really awesome.
So that was a very nice touch, I'm sure, to the hardcore Disney fans that were out and about today.
One thing that I really want, like they've there's that 50th anniversary live special thing that they're doing on ABC. Well, not live, but like the 50th anniversary broadcast special that they're doing for, I think, ABC or one of the Disney-owned networks. And I feel like they just need to interview some of the people that were there on opening day, right? Like that would just make this whole thing worth it, because there's got to be like some cast members that still have some connection somewhere.
Yeah.
Or even if not, like people that would be willing to speak.
Yeah. So, kind of entertainment adjacent, I guess. Not necessarily, but I'm swinging it into whatever segue I can get. The Frontierland Shooting Arcade reopened yesterday at Magic Kingdom and is now free to play.
Weird transition, and that is not entertainment.
It's not entertainment, but let's go with it. It I've never done this, but now that it's free, I will.
I have such distinct memories from doing this as a kid, which I think is why I love it so much. But it's also very. I mean, it's cool to look back at something that's obviously very old, but also it is like such an interactive element and such a simple little thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yeah,
shoot
and
all the little things and they do different things.
yeah, and I mean, I like kind of cheesy stuff like that, and it's kind of been a thing that I've thought, oh, I should try that sometime, but never did because I just didn't ever get around to it. But now, next time I stop by, I'll be like, oh, well, why not?
Yeah.
And I guess it's probably a thing that will pull 6 people away from something else. I guess it's not like obviously it's not like a crowd eater or anything, but it's just like a little atmospheric, like little Cersei that you can have for free. Yeah, and Vanessa says it's a opening day attraction, quote unquote.
But I mean, that's something that on opening day really probably wouldn't have been in quotes. Like that was legitimate attraction in 71.
Right. Back then, people were probably actually pretty into it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's still people that get really into the Frontierland shooting arcade.
All right, so next up on our list, going back to the photo aspect, we have that Disney Genie Plus will include an augmented reality filter that will let guests take a selfie with the now iconic Cake Castle version of Cinderella Castle. I feel like this is a very weird choice.
This targets a very specific niche of people, and it's I don't even know how I feel about it. Like, is it going to be wherever you are? Do you have to be at the castle to take a picture of the birthday cake castle? Like, there's so many weird questions that this raises.
Disney is jumping on like the meta meme bandwagon because I think they know how divisive this is with the fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see how like AR this actually is, or is this just like an overlay in the background?
I want it to be that you pull up your phone in front of the castle and you can like walk around and see it from different angles.
If they
You know what I
did
mean?
that, it would be really cool.
I would love to see that. I honestly am in the very small percentage of people that kind of liked the Cake Castle. Like, I just think it's cool that they put so much effort into doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
They sure put a lot of effort.
they put a lot of
There's
effort
a lot
into
more effort in this than I thought they would have.
I
cheesy
think they
Cake
put
Castle.
way too much effort into it.
But I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of reminds me of a time gone by that Disney actually tried to shake things up for
True.
no real reason. I mean,
I'd
25
rather
years is a big deal, obviously, but like they didn't have to go this hard and they did.
You're all forgetting about the other time that Disney went way harder than they needed to with the opening of Stitch's Great Escape, where they covered the castle in toilet paper.
I like that too. Again, probably in the small percentage of people that like
you are
it, but
definitely in the small percentage of people that appreciated that.
I thought it was a cool idea.
The funny thing to me about that is just that they did that for what now seems like such an insignificant attraction.
Yes.
Oh, it's way insignificant.
I mean, it was an updated overlay of an existing attraction, and they changed the most iconic element in the park.
My favorite thing about that, though, is like, it's also a callback to a time where like we weren't so tuned into the parks, right? Like, this was you could potentially show up for your once in a lifetime trip and see Cinderella Castle covered in toilet paper with graffiti on it. And you have to think like, wow, this is on purpose. I mean, it was very obvious it was, but it's still just so funny because like at a glance, it's like, I paid for that.
Was
Here's
a
my
simpler
thing.
time.
My thing is that if it was my once in a lifetime trip, then yeah, I would probably be kind of pissed off about it. But being the Disney nerd that I am today, I would love to have a picture of myself as a little kid in front of each of these castles, just as like a piece of Disney history, you know? I just feel like for the people who came regularly, that was like, oh wow, this is a cool thing that we've never seen before, which, like Vanessa said in the chat, back in the day, they had parades when new movies came out. There's Hercules parade, Aladdin parade, blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. I think, like I said, it just reminds me of a time that we are probably never going to see again, where Disney will take huge risks that are probably unpopular for the sake of publicity, you know, or for the sake of doing a crazy thing. For the
Yeah.
sake of art. Thank you, Anna. So, next on our news, I think this is really cool. I know we have talked about the Main Street Confectionery reopening, but it has now officially reopened at Magic Kingdom. And with it, we now have new LGBTQ, Native American, and other diverse characters as part of the new storyline. So, and the shop received a new layout that makes traffic flow more smoothly, which anybody who's been in the confectionery knows that it was a nightmare to try and navigate with all the people walking around. But the new backstory involves a competition among home bakers called the Sweetest Spoon Showcase. And so they have the Sweetest Spoon Showcase winners on display inside of the confectionery now, and it has a little blurb about each one.
Very cool.
Curiosity,
Yeah.
did the confectionery have a storyline before?
Not that I'm
smelled good.
aware of. Yeah, it smelled good. That was the storyline.
That's all it needed.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. I am going way off track on these, but like looking at the pictures, that layout that's amazing. There, you know,
Huge change, yeah.
It looks so much bigger too.
Right. Which I love. And, you know, as long as it smells like the confectionery, I don't really care what it looks like inside.
Exactly.
But yes, like Anna said, I think that this is a really cute refurb, and I think it's nice that it's a, you know, a little way to incorporate some more diversity into the parks, like they've been trying to do with like the Jungle Cruise refurb recently and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we also, this is not like a huge news topic, but I thought that it was really cute and worth. What, Andy?
Oh, she's making dinner and she's chopping garlic. She's mincing garlic. Sorry.
It is right, Mario.
Yeah, she's yelling at me because she's mincing garlic, and I said she's chopping. Anyway.
So yeah, like I was saying, this is not like a huge news, like breaking news topic, but we have new food wrappers and Coca-Cola cups, and the food wrappers are so freaking cute, y'all. I want to use it as like wallpaper in my house.
Yes, and honestly, this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about a few weeks ago. Like we knew that they weren't going to be able to go and do a lot of really big stuff, and like little things like this are a cool way for a low cost addition for them to do something special. So I'm all for this.
Absolutely.
Okay, what are the odds that we get that food wrapper on some piece of merch in the near future?
100%.
I would love it. Oh my god, like
be a
rain
purse or
jacket.
something.
I would love a rain jacket with that design on it.
That would
be
be
so
cool.
cute. But I had to throw this in there because I was like, I saw it and I was like, this is the cutest stinking food wrapper.
Yeah, it really is. For no reason.
I mean, I love pretty much anything that incorporates like the old ticket books into the design.
Mm-hmm. And we also had some retro posters added to the entrance underneath the train station for the first time today. People got to see it when they walked into the parks. They have all these nice vintage-looking posters of Swiss Family Treehouse and Jungle Cruise, and It's a Small World. And again, they're doing small things that make a big impact, I think,
And, like-
where it's like a little bit of throwback and just so cute.
Yeah, and like Kirsten said, they were giving out free posters today too. Like that's crazy. They never do that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And again, how much does that cost them? Maybe a couple grand to print out all those posters. But if it leaves people with a good perception of Disney, it pays itself off in dividends. So, this is the kind of stuff that I'm hoping they get back to and realize how important preserving their image is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they do. I hope they
Definitely.
realize that that's like a thing that they need to keep doing, especially with like some of the things that they've done recently. It just feels like there's a lot of bad publicity, and if they can do little things here and there, that's like, okay, yeah, that's a nice little pop-up thing. And we talked about with the 50th, it kind of sucks because COVID was a thing, and there was a lot of little things that they couldn't necessarily do that they probably wanted to do, and there's probably projects that are getting pushed back and things like that. These little things just they feel like they go an extra mile where they don't really need to.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that used to be Disney.
Yeah.
That was it, the extra mile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were like known for being the best in customer service and the best in like the whole experience of a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And little things like that definitely added to it. So I agree with you. I hope that they realize the impact that just small changes can make, and try and get their image back on track.
Mm-hmm.
But continuing on with our throwbacks, we already talked about the Mr. Toad burger. They actually had 3 new items debut at Friar's Nook.
Oh, that cake looks so bad.
All in honor of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Oh, man.
I mean, the burger is really the best looking thing there, but the cake looks so bad.
Honestly, I love that it failed at what it was trying to do. I think that makes it so much cuter.
Yeah.
It's like one of those nailed it things. Like,
Yep.
Y'all, it sounds delicious though. Peanut cake, chocolate peanut butter mousse, and a salty caramel center.
Ooh, that does sound
that does
good.
sound really good.
I would 100% eat that.
I guess food is for eating, not for looking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is, but the looking part helps. You gotta, feed your eyes before you feed your stomach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about the burger, we got the dome cake, and then the wild ride is a frozen wild sour cherry, blue raspberry, and sour apple mix topped with
that
whipped
sounds
cream
really good.
and a black licorice wheel that you take the wheel off and you put it directly into the trash can, and then you can drink the beverage.
Thank you. I was about to say everything sounded fantastic until black licorice.
But that's what I'm saying. It's part of the experience. You take the little wheel off. It's going on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and you throw it into the trash can.
Big licorice wheel too.
I know. Oh, yeah. I still crack up every time I look at this burger.
There's a picture of it with the bun removed, and the fact that the pickle just is like casually placed in the middle of the burger is kind of hysterical.
Like that's the thing. It's so inefficient.
It's just a burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make this at home. If you got toothpicks, olives, and a pickle, like.
Whoever took this picture too, I love that like one of the pimentos is missing out of the olive. Like it's just so perfectly messed up.
Yeah. They were not quite on par with the presentation, I guess, for this particular shot.
Oh God. That
Yeah,
picture of
I don't like it.
the
I don't like it. It makes me a little
Oh my
uncomfortable.
God, that is hilarious.
All right, and last but certainly not least, we had the debut of Mickey's Celebration Cavalcade, featuring Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Chippendale, Goofy, Daisy, and Donald on floats, dressed all in their celebration outfits, accompanied by some dancers with what looks like scarves on sticks.
You know what my favorite part of this cavalcade is?
What?
No Clarabelle.
That is a great part.
Yes,
of the
absolutely.
Okay, I was waiting for Anna to chime in the slander. If it was a full-blown parade, I'm sure Clarabelle would have been included in this. Because we can't escape her. But it's just a cavalcade. So we just got some energetic dancers with these pretty blue and purple, white, scarfy things flailing around, and all of our favorite Disney characters.
I love how they bring
on some
out like
floats.
the Move It Shake It parade floats for stuff like this.
No, as soon as I saw it, I was like, you could put new paint and stuff on it, but I know this float. I know where this came from.
I feel like that's like their celebration float because it just it looks kind of like a present.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Move it, shake it, mouse could dance it. I'm the one person in the world that loves it.
It's fine.
No, it's not.
It's cute.
It's fine.
The song is catchy as hell. Every time I hear it, I would just be like walking down Main Street and I hear the music start and I'm like, oh yes. It's that time.
I do really dig the costumes on these floats. Something about the colors is very
The iridescence.
The iridescence, the gold, it ties in very well with Castle. Looks good.
Yeah, it's very cute. I like it's classy looking, It looks like they're wearing their Sunday best.
Exactly.
But for like a pride parade, maybe, not church. Because the colors. And I'm also realizing now that these scarf things are actually on fans. Which is interesting.
They are.
Maybe it creates like a gust of wind and it can cool down the area. Uh-oh. Are we witnessing a marital spat?
Uh-oh.
What?
Marital spat. Marital spat.
What?
I heard you go, oh my gosh, no.
No,
like,
it was
are we
just my
witnessing a
microphone
marital
cord fell out
spat?
again.
Oh.
Oh, dang, that's not nearly as interesting.
No.
I'm mincing Mario.
Oh my gosh.
The stupid cord on my microphone is loose and it keeps falling out.
So that was our last news article, but Vanessa brought up in the chat, did we talk about the updated water pageant? I believe we talked about it on our not yet released episode that we recorded last week as a news topic, but we did not talk about it yet on here, and we should, because this is our live 50th celebration.
Yeah. I am super excited about it. Anything that gets, the water pageant talked about is cool in my book. And, like we said in the episode, the design is very cool, but it also fits in with the old floats. So I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I
It's very,
said this when we talked about it as a news article that I've never, quote unquote, seen the thing all the way through, but I probably will do it on my next trip just so I can see the update.
It's like a continuation of Main Street Electrical Parade for me. Like it's cheesy in the best possible way.
Right. That's kind of the vibe I've always gotten when I see it from afar, just like in passing. So I like that vibe.
Yeah. This Main Street Electrical Parade and the Shooting Arcade all fit that to a T. And I think Country Bear Jamboree in a lot of ways too. And I think that's why I love all of those things.
Yeah, man. I love cheesy stuff. Like, I'm a huge fan of, not that these are that, but a tacky tourist trap. Like, you got the world's largest ball of yarn. I'm there. I love stuff like that. And those give off a similar vibe. Like, same energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the addition to the electric water pageant.
So, any last minute news topics we want to talk about? As you guys listening now heard earlier, Kirsten said it was relatively uneventful as far as a 50th anniversary would go, which I think she said she was a little disappointed at that, but I did think that there was going to be more news today, but it seems like a lot of the news came yesterday. Like, here's things that you'll see tomorrow, but not a whole lot of news actually coming out today, which was interesting.
I feel like they kind of just news dropped a bunch of stuff, like, unexpectedly, which was really cool, and I'm happy that they did that. I kind of wish there was more, but I feel like this is still, like, this made me a little bit more excited for the people that are there, and kind of gave me a little bit of FOMO, because, now I kind of want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said to Kirsten earlier, I would have liked to have been there in person, but it is what it is. I'll be there in a week. Hopefully it won't be quite as crowded. I'm still expecting massive crowds, but maybe not people fighting over Starbucks level crowds.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I can handle the middle.
Yeah, people fighting over Starbucks mugs crowd is a little insane.
Yeah, a little much for me, I think. Well, I guess that's going to wrap up our live 50th celebration then, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who tuned in and hung out with us for this. I'm glad that several of you could make it.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next time. All right.
Bye.
See ya.
All right, everybody have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekend.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.